Ever wondered why the Israel-Palestine conflict, a dispute over land that's barely larger than New Jersey, garners global attention? It's a burning question, isn't it? A conflict in such a small region, yet it reverberates across the globe. It's not just about land, it's a tangle of historical roots, cultural identity, and geopolitical interests. The implications of this strife reach far beyond the borders of Israel and Palestine, touching every corner of our interconnected world. To unravel the complexities, we dig deep into the annals of history. The roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict trace back to the late 19th century. Two potent ideologies were taking shape at this time, each with a distinct vision for the future of the land known today as Israel and Palestine. On one side, you had Zionism, a political movement born in Europe. Zionism was a response to centuries of persecution, culminating in a dream for a Jewish homeland. Theodor Herzl, often considered the father of modern political Zionism, envisioned a state where Jews could live free from discrimination and anti-Semitism. Parallel to this, Arab nationalism was stirring in Palestine. The indigenous Arab population, predominantly Muslim but also inclusive of Christians and Druze, cherished a deep-rooted connection to the land. They were alarmed by the influx of Jewish immigrants and the transformation of their homeland. In the midst of these brewing tensions came the Balfour Declaration in 1917. Arthur Balfour, the British Foreign Secretary, conveyed British support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This declaration, while ambiguously worded, was seen as a major triumph for Zionism. However, it also sparked outrage and fear among the Arab population, who felt their rights and claims to the land were being ignored. The British Mandate period, from 1920 to 1948, was marked by increasing strife between the Jewish immigrants and the Arab locals. The British administration struggled to navigate these complexities, often exacerbating the tensions. Jewish immigration surged, fueled by the horrors of the Holocaust. Simultaneously, Arab opposition grew, leading to widespread unrest and violence. This period was a critical chapter in the historical narrative of the Israel-Palestine conflict. It was a time of transformation and contention, of dreams realized and dreams shattered. The competing nationalisms, the British role, and the growing animosity set the stage for the conflicts that would follow. The end of the British Mandate in 1948 marked the beginning of a new era. But as we'll see in the next segment, this new era was not one of peace and resolution, but rather a continuation of the struggle shaped by these historical roots. In 1948, the State of Israel was born, but not without birth pangs. In the wake of World War II and the Holocaust, the international community was faced with a pressing issue: the plight of millions of displaced Jews. The United Nations proposed a solution: the partition of British Mandatory Palestine into two separate states, one Jewish and one Arab. Despite Arab rejection, the plan was approved, laying the groundwork for the creation of the State of Israel. But the birth of a new state did not come peacefully. As the British withdrew, a war broke out. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War, often referred to as the War of Independence by Israelis and the Nakba, or catastrophe, by Palestinians, was a brutal and bloody conflict. Israel was attacked on all fronts by neighboring Arab states, while internally communities were torn apart. The establishment of Israel had profound and lasting impacts. For Jews, it provided a homeland, a place of refuge and national identity. But for Palestinians, it meant displacement and loss. Hundreds of thousands were uprooted from their homes and became refugees, a wound that has yet to heal. The international response was mixed. While many countries recognized the new state and applauded the creation of a Jewish homeland after centuries of persecution, others decried the displacement of Palestinians. This set the stage for decades of tension and conflict in the region. Yet, Israel persevered, its people determined to build a thriving nation amidst adversity. They established democratic institutions, developed a robust economy, and made significant advancements in science and technology. But the cost was high, and the scars of the conflict run deep. The 1948 war was not just a historical event. It was a turning point, a moment that defined the region's future. It set a precedent for the conflicts to come, shaping the dynamics of the Israeli-Palestinian struggle and leaving a legacy of division and dispute that persists to this day. The 1948 war set a precedent for the conflicts to come. The following decades saw a series of wars, uprisings, and peace attempts. This statement sets the stage for the turbulent years that shaped the Israel-Palestine dynamics to this very day. In the late 60s, the world watched in awe as the Six-Day War unfolded. It was a brief but intense conflict that saw Israel pitted against an Arab coalition led by Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. In just 6 days, Israel managed to seize control of the Gaza Strip and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. This swift and decisive victory dramatically changed the landscape of the Middle East, cementing Israel's military prowess and significantly expanding its territorial holdings. Yet, the victory was not without its consequences. The Yom Kippur War of 1973 saw Egypt and Syria launch a surprise attack on Israel on the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. While Israel ultimately repelled the attack, the war highlighted the vulnerabilities of the Jewish state and led to a shift in regional dynamics. In the 90s, hope for a peaceful resolution seemed possible with the Oslo Accords. These agreements marked the first time that the Palestinian Liberation Organization formally recognized Israel, and Israel acknowledged the PLO as the representative of the Palestinian people. However, the accords fell short of addressing key issues such as the status of Jerusalem, borders, and the right of return for Palestinian refugees. The following years saw two major Palestinian uprisings, or intifadas. These periods of intensified Israeli-Palestinian violence further complicated the conflict, leading to a deepening divide between the two sides. The first intifada led to the creation of the Palestinian Authority, while the second, more violent uprising resulted in a significant loss of life and further erosion of trust. Despite peace efforts, the conflict seems to be a never-ending cycle. This phrase encapsulates the situation perfectly. The decades of conflict have left deep scars on both sides, making the path to peace a challenging and complex endeavor. While there have been attempts at resolution, the conflict persists, a testament to the intricate and deeply rooted issues at its core. Fast forward to the present day, the conflict continues to simmer. In the heart of this conflict are several contentious issues, each adding fuel to an already volatile fire. Firstly, the status of Jerusalem. The city, revered by Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike, stands at the epicenter of the dispute. Israel claims the entirety of Jerusalem as its capital, a move largely unrecognized by the international community. On the other hand, Palestinians envision East Jerusalem as the capital of their future state. The city's status is more than symbolic. It's a manifestation of national identity and religious significance. Secondly, we cannot ignore the issue of Israeli settlements. These are residential communities built on lands occupied by Israel since the Six-Day War of 1967. For Israelis, these settlements represent a return to biblical lands. But for Palestinians, they are a stark symbol of displacement and occupation. The international community largely views these settlements as illegal, but their continued expansion has dramatically reshaped the landscape and complicated the prospects for peace. Lastly, let's turn our attention to the Gaza Strip, a narrow piece of land along the Mediterranean Sea. Since 2007, the Gaza Strip has been under a blockade enforced by Israel and Egypt, citing security concerns. This blockade has had a profound impact on the 2 million Palestinians living there, leading to widespread poverty, high unemployment, and a critical shortage of basic necessities. These issues, Jerusalem, Israeli settlements, and the Gaza blockade, are not just political talking points. They are lived realities for millions of people, shaping their lives in profound ways. They are the threads that weave the intricate tapestry of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Yet, amidst the complexities and the strife, there remains a shared longing for peace. A longing for a future where identity and security are not mutually exclusive, where coexistence is not just a distant dream, but a tangible reality. The Israel-Palestine conflict remains a tinderbox in the heart of the Middle East. After more than a century, the echoes of conflict continue to reverberate. The Israel-Palestine conflict is not just a regional issue, but one with global implications. It's a struggle that has been passed down through generations, deeply ingrained in the psyches of those at its epicenter. We've journeyed through the historical roots, witnessing the birth of Israel and the decades of conflict that followed. We've seen how the current scenario is a complex web of political, social, and religious tensions, where the line between right and wrong is often blurred. This conflict is characterized by its resilience to resolution, its echoes reaching far beyond the borders of the two nations involved. The reverberations of this struggle can be felt globally, influencing world politics, sparking humanitarian concerns, and shaping the course of history. Understanding the complexity of this issue is no simple task. It requires delving into a labyrinth of historical events, political decisions, and social dynamics. It demands a willingness to question our own preconceptions, to empathize with both sides, and to grapple with the uncomfortable reality of a conflict with no easy solutions. Yet it's this very complexity that makes understanding the Israel-Palestine conflict so essential. For within this complexity lies the potential for progress, the opportunity for dialogue, and the hope for a peaceful resolution. While the path to peace seems elusive, understanding the history and dynamics of the Israel-Palestine conflict is the first step towards finding a solution.